Hello and welcome to the Minority Arts Appreciation Society podcast, where we're ticking all the boxes. I'm Josh and I lead the music discussions.
I'm Matty and I lead the film discussions.
And today we're discussing Backxwash's Stigmata, her new EP in this next installment of our 2020 Boxer series, this time covering August. I like to think of these episodes as a bit of a time capsule, you know. So today we're recording this on the 29th of August, right on the tail end. It will be released in September, of course.
Yeah.
As you can see.
Hello, future. What's it like? Are we still alive?
Be excellent to each other. So I just want to rattle off some headlines, some things that are happening right now.
I'm shooked about these new lockdown albums, man. I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical. We'll see.
Honestly, so far they've been going. Yeah, it's been so like it can go either way.
Yeah, and it's just like you completely understand. Like it's not. I'm not being like, damn, bro, that piece of art you made during like one of the worst moments of the century so far for everyone. Kind of weak, bro. But just like, I'm not that into the whole thing.
Fair enough. Well, another piece of news. Ozzy Osbourne reiterates that he will never retire from music. "Quote unquote, the party is on, man." So, for those of you who are worried about Ozzy Osbourne retiring from music, I mean, rest easy. He's not going anywhere.
He's really bringing the Bill and Ted vibes. He's really, really bringing the Bill and Ted vibes out here, man.
He needs to listen to music. And then FKA Twigs dropped a new music video last night for the Sad Day song. Did you listen to the recent FKA Twigs album?
No, I think I meant to listen to it during lockdown, and then I was like, man, I remember everyone saying this was like really sad, and like, you know how I stopped watching Mr. Robot because it was like really sad, and I just didn't need to be more sad. Well, it was one of those situations, I think. So the answer is no.
I think what's funny with FKA Twigs is like there was like a 3 or 4 year period where she, at least a 3-year period where she was in like a more or less happy relationship with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
In which she just didn't make any music. So I don't think we'll ever know what like a happy FKA Twigs album sounds like. I wonder if she has more creative kind of inspiration when she's in more turbulent situations. So that just happened. It was a cool video. She sword fights someone in southwest London, and they like fly around. It's fucked up. It's really cool. And on a more tragic note, last night Chadwick Boseman died at the age of
43.
43. Yeah, it was tragic. I think the most agitating part about it is it took like one day for there to be like internet articles like, what about Black Panther 2? What's gonna happen with Black Panther 2? Which is like, so fucking like, disrespectful. Like
it's awful.
And shitty. So anyway, yeah, that's the world. That's the world of August 2020. That's what's happening right now. To get this down for all exciting news. Basically nothing is happening other than really sad
except in a little melon corner of Twitter. A beef stirred. Are we talking about this now?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so
break it down for me, Maddie.
Break it down for me.
So as I told you before, like I have no real knowledge of this beef. I've been seeing like random tweets from Anthony Fantano out of context, not knowing who he's referring to or what's going on. So it's been a very like From Software storytelling.
Yeah, picking up pieces of lore.
Yeah, and trying to piece them together. So you, Matty, what is happening? What is the beef?
So
run it down on us.
I want to make this as clear as possible to go along with your like time capsule theme. I want to make this, you know, if someone comes back and hears this 5 years down the line and doesn't give a shit but wants to understand, here we go. I also want to give a disclaimer that like this is so meaningless. It is so meaningless. So basically, I think Anthony Fantano, it's one of those beefs where the main thing that caused the beef was on a stream, so you can't really see what caused the beef. But I think essentially Anthony Fantano was on Twitch, and I think he was getting spammed to listen to this album by this 16-year-old kid called, I think the album's called Niagara. I remember the kid's name. The kid's name is Redveil. And so I think people got mad at him because he played like 10. He got angry that everyone was messaging him to like spamming the chat to listen to it, and listened to like 10 seconds, and then like was like, this is boring, and turned it off. And people say that he called the kid, like the rapper, a bitch. And like,
did he?
I don't know. I think it sounded more like he was referring to the people trying to get him to listen to the stuff. But yeah, so then he goes on Twitter, and this was where I entered the beef. Because I went on Twitter and I was like, Melon is furious, and I have to find out why. And so he was kind of going on this rant, and you could tell it was very much in the vein of like, I am fucking sick of being spammed by people to listen to shit, and then when I don't like it, people yell at me. So I think he was kind of caught in this vortex of, at the same time being, which I can imagine being frustrating, of like constantly being spammed by people to like validate their opinions, and then when you like don't. But then also like some people were kind of like, hey man, you're like 30, you shouldn't call teenagers bitches. I also just like, I don't know, I don't think it's that deep. I think if Fantano called me a bitch when I was 16, I'd find that quite funny. I don't know. That's quite funny to me, but maybe I'm just being really cynical and like detaching myself. But overall, it was just like really entertaining, because it really didn't mean anything, and it was nice to see an argument over on Twitter that I had like no stock in, and also didn't really mean shit.
I guess like the most telling thing about this story is just how unproductive like sycophancy and this kind of culture of validation is. I guess it's kind of like Anthony Fantano is to curators what, you know, artists like a Tarantino is to like auteur cinema.
Yeah,
where you
I
get
agree.
this really weird sycophant kind of, this person's perspective is massively important, and we will like go insane over it. You know, like release the Snyder Cut kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's really odd and probably damaging. I don't
understand
why these teenagers so badly need him to say like, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is a very good album. Like, just enjoy yourself. I fundamentally don't understand.
I have problems like with kind of, I think just like my mental health and purely enjoying art sometimes, but I've never loved an album and gone, but I need to fucking know what Fantano thinks. And just like, it becomes about like this overall annoyance I just have with like stan and fan culture in general, where it's just like, stream folklore, stream this. It's like, I'm sorry, but get a fucking life.
I guess maybe it's an age thing. Maybe the older you get, the more kind of comfortable you get in your opinion. Like, for example, I thought the new Arctic Monkeys album, Hotel Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino, was phenomenal. Like, I think it's fantastic and funny and like very British, in a brilliant way, and the best thing Alex Turner's ever done. Leagues and leagues and leagues above of the shit he was doing on AM. Holy fuck. And he gave that like the same score that he gave like their boring albums like Suck It and See, which like made no sense to me. But I guess I just watched the review and I was like, okay, cool. Like, that's you do you, bro. Like, it's just not that deep. I don't know.
So weird.
So yeah, kids, if you're only like teenagers listening to this, man, you don't need anyone to tell you that your opinion's valuable. You know,
I just like
you're worth something, and believe in yourself. You know, you can do it.
Yeah, like, not to. Okay, I'm about to sound like a boomer. Just like get offline. Like, your enjoyment of an album doesn't have to be sharing it over Twitter.
Anyway, we'll bygones be bygones, right?
Yeah.
Are you ready to move on to our discussion of Backwash's Stigmata EP?
Yeah, absolutely am. I absolutely enthusiastically am.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna put my spaghetti plate away. Backxwash, Stigmata. I don't know how you're meant to pronounce Backxwash. I think she says Backxwash on the album, but there is an X between back and wash. I don't know how much that means to you, dear listener. But this is a relatively like new artist hitting the scene. I'm really excited about like her background, like where she's from. So I just wanted to give some background knowledge of Backxwash. So she is a self-proclaimed angry, quote unquote, angry trans woman, who interestingly also likes to be referred to as it. I'm not too clued in on like the gender discussion around it as a pronoun. Is that a common thing, or is this kind of a performative move, like taking on a monster persona,
and like a persona,
yeah, or is that like a common thing? People called it.
I don't know if I would say it's common. I've actually like legitimately never seen someone like I've never had personal experience like listening to that music or like interacting with someone online or in person who uses the pronoun it. But yeah, I think it's just her. I think it's just a thing that she does, which is fucking cool. Like I saw this tweet the other day that's like, dude, at the end of the day, transphobes are transphobes. Like they don't give a fuck what you call yourself. Like, you know, and I feel like kind of like it and things like that come under that. So yeah, I think it's sick. I think it's really cool.
Boss move.
Boss fucking move.
So yeah, her name is Ashanti, and she was born and raised in Lusaka, Zambia. Not Lusaka, Lusaka.
Yeah.
My brain mixes up the letters. Yeah, she's born and raised in Lusaka, Zambia. Which I'm very excited about because I wasn't born there, but my father is from Kitwe, which is so basically Lusaka's like the capital city, the biggest city, and Kitwe is like the third biggest city. So yeah, one of the cities, but it's not Lusaka. But it's just really exciting to like have an artist like this from where I'm from. Like it's extremely rare to see people from the countries I'm from like in media, so it's just super exciting for me. Like I remember I get so excited about this kind of representation. I remember even tiny stuff, like I remember, so my mum's from Antigua, which is like a really small island, so it doesn't talk about much. And I was playing GoldenEye on the Wii when I was like 10, and when you sneak behind one of the goons, part of their dialogue is, after this is done, I'm gonna go to the beaches in Antigua with my kid. And I was like, hey. So yeah,
from my hometown.
You just remember like all the little representation, like the niche representation.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's cool. Anyway, so after that, she moved to Canada for school. So I think she's currently living in Montreal. Her second EP is called Black Sailor Moon. I think this is important. I'm not sure how. And also, this EP makes specific use of like Christian metal samples. So I guess Christian metal is a thing. I didn't know about Christian metal.
I saw her interacting with people on a subreddit, kind of explaining what she was doing.
Yeah.
She sounds so nice.
I have that noted down as well. I posted the EP to Indie Heads, and her replies are so wholesome. She's very lovely.
Yeah, it's really sweet. Just like, thank you to all the people commenting on her album. Like, it's so nice.
UWU, like all the way. That's some deep Backxwash lore. And yeah, we can get into this album. I guess. So this is my first kind of encounter with Backxwash. Seeing this album cover was my first like time being aware of her existence. I was looking for an interesting album to cover, and the album cover really grabbed me. And then I clicked on it, and I saw Ada Rook and Devi McCalman. Wait, I'm not
that was brutal.
McCallion. Is that? It's one of those white names that I can't pronounce. Ada Rook and Devi McCallion. I saw they were on it, And I was like, this is fate. We have to discuss the album. This is the second time I've accidentally clicked on like a Black Dresses alumni kind of contributed album.
Oh my god.
So I mean, we're just slowly building up to our Black Dresses.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm super excited about this because I really do think like Black Dresses in the 2020s will make, obviously the group is disbanded, but Ada and Devi will make some of those important contributions to underground music in this coming decade. I truly believe that. Like, watch this space. And I'm pleased to say I think this album lives up to that. I think man, when that first track came on, Stigmata, Jesus, I was so, it was such a jolt of energy and life in a month that, in my opinion, has been quite slow music-wise. At least in terms of the albums I was being exposed to. So this was just super exciting for me. But I'm interested in what you think and what is your history with Backxwash?
So when you asked me to review an album by like something or someone called Backxwash, because it could have been a band, who knows? I did not know what to fucking Google, and then I like couldn't find the EP because I'm a normie and I didn't check Bandcamp, and like I was so like, I don't know, I was quite curious because she's like, the way you mentioned it quite off the cuff, so it seemed quite established. And so when I found it on Bandcamp and I was like confronted with this album art, it was like kind of terrifying because it was like, okay, where are we going with this? What's happening here? But like actually really exciting because it's an amazing piece of art just in itself. Like the reference, I think the reference to what's it called, the crucifixion of Christ, and like the crown, I think like that's meant to sort of represent the crown of thorns around her head. And it's so awesome because there's something about, like, I'm not really a religious person, but there's something about like the brutalization of Christian imagery that's so appealing. And to bring that onto like the sonic aspects of this album, holy shit, Christian metal sounds awesome because this thing is amazing. Like every aspect of this is like life-giving, I would say, in such a furious way, I think.
Yeah.
Like
we might have to do Christian metal at some point if it's just lit.
Yeah, I think this is a Christian metal podcast now. But I think this is such an interesting artistic direction to go down, purely because I think it's so bold to turn something so easily like memeable as like Christian metal, and like
any genre that is prefix of Christian is automatically funny to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is linguistic note levels of like power. I would say it's a very different experience because I think the emboldening of that album is very much like horrifying because you almost become fearful of the character that she creates, whereas this one you're sort of more in the driver's seat just because of how visceral it is as opposed to haunting, I would say. But yeah,
it's more like welcoming than lingering.
I think
like,
so.
Like and I mean this in the most positive way possible.
Yeah,
the first track on this EP reminds me of something like "Can You Feel My Heart" by Bring Me the Horizon. I love that song, and I'm just saying that because it's the kind of like metal heavy music that wants you to dance to it or headbutt or enjoy yourself at the concert. Whereas like Lingua Ignota is very confrontational, and not enjoyable in the same way that this is. It's not like a thing you want to dance to at concerts.
No, exactly.
And I guess like you were saying, the use of religious imagery here, both in the lyrics and the EP cover. One thing I'm really annoyed about, as a side note, is I couldn't find any like typed out lyrics from this album.
Me too. I tried.
I really wanted to read them because they sounded wonderful. But I tried my best to make do with what I could hear on Bandcamp. But back to that kind of religious imagery. I think it really on two sides, it kind of resonates with me. Where like it's very it resonates with me very personally. Like I was raised in the same Zambian Christian background that she was raised in. So there is something very powerful about reappropriating Christian imagery to kind of affirm yourself outside of the quite judgmental and limiting structures that Christianity provides. Like I remember kind of as you try to rebel as a teen, I remember like when I got into Desperate for the first time, I felt so powerful singing the line, I am the beast I worship. This idea that like you're meant to, you're raised to be so afraid of this ambiguous, like, mark of the beast, the devil, devil worshipping and whatnot. And when you're like, I am the devil and I am worshipping myself, it's like truly taking back all of the kind of guilt narratives of Christianity. But also on kind of a level that I can't relate to, but it's still resonant to me, the kind of the queer artness of this, which we saw a bit a couple weeks ago with Throbbing Gristle. With Pete Orange and kind of music from LGBT communities being incredibly avant-garde and strange and provocative.
Yeah.
But especially recently with Black Dresses, who I think make the trans aesthetic something that takes kind of how trans people are viewed as like monstrosities and unnatural by bigots, and just like completely owning that and just being a fucking monster on in the music and scaring the shit out of people. I adore that as a kind of, again, I feel like this album and artists like this very much play around a lot with that kind of reclaiming, be it of religion or of kind of bigoted attitudes towards them.
Yeah, they so have that in common, like the worshipping of the devil, like that you brought up, because in the same way that embracing self-worship and all the sinful desires within yourself, I am becoming so infatuated with the idea of completely rejecting integration at this point, because I'm slowly moving towards like just the fact, not the idea that society would never accept us, but that society needs to learn that it doesn't have to accept us, and that we're gonna hold our own until it does. And I think that art like this and art like Black Dresses that you brought up and things that are going for that aim are so important for reminding people of that and kind of building us up. This really, like, to me, I adore this. I don't think I've actually made it clear how much I adore this because of this very reason. For me, this feels like a battle cry in a way of like blood will be spilt, but it will be kind of beautiful and I think glorious is how this makes me feel, and euphoric in a way, I think, for sure. Yeah, I am so impressed. I was blown away.
Yeah, no, I really like your description of this as like a battle cry, because it's interesting. There are moments of this that do remind me a bit of the lyricism of like Run the Jewels, like
LP type flow.
Her line on Demons, the nightmare seems tame compared to the peace I get. Reminds me of kind of LP saying, I'm dirt, motherfucker, I can't be crushed. Like the idea that quote unquote normal is so bad for me because of oppression and bigotry, that like nothing really scares me anymore. But unlike Run the Jewels, I think this is more of a kind of a melancholic, introspective vibe. So like the context of that nightmare line is in Demons, which I kind of read as kind of a conceptual song imagining the moments after your suicide. Like she raps about seeing the Reaper, and the Reaper is silent as he sees my anguish is so relevant to my own doom. And the elephant in the room is, do I regret it? And she refers to hitting the casket and being finger blasted by skeletons deep in her tomb. Like amazing, evocative, fucking metal imagery.
It's awesome.
It is kind of laden with that kind of more melancholic, depressive. So yeah, but so it's interesting how it has that battle cry element, also having kind of more tender, melancholic side to it, you know, which
I think
speaks very true, I think.
Yeah, this is the thing about trans art that I just always find, as a trans woman, just ultimately so soothing. In a way, like I think honestly the best way to describe it is a safe space. So many albums and so many pieces of art, I think, have ultimately come down to people reconciling with the trauma of existing in such an intensely transphobic society. And just the trauma of hatred, but also then being in a sort of dichotomy with that, and then wanting to rally to the people that you know need it most, because we know that we're suffering, so we know that the people that are hearing this, the trans people that and the queer people that are hearing this, you know, whatever like non-conforming gender identity that you feel listening to this, you need it as much as the artist. And so it's like they're there for you in that moment, and it's so beautiful. And like it could be considered like parasocial, I guess, but I really don't feel it that way. I really think there's just such a connection there between queer listener and queer artist, and I'm so thankful for it every single time I hear it, because I just need it.
Yeah, and I guess for someone who isn't trans, it's nice to have artistic spaces where I don't feel comfortable when I'm around transphobic people, in the same way that I'm sure you wouldn't feel comfortable around like a very racist person.
Yeah.
It's nice to have these musical spaces where it's like we are all based, everything is good.
Yeah, it's so like, lovely.
And yeah, it's before we move on to favorite favorite tracks, two things. God, it's such a shame that I picked the EP to review and not the album she released earlier in the year. God has nothing to do with this. Leave him out of it, which is a fucking awesome album title. But hey, it didn't come out in August, so I got to follow my stupid rules. And also, I guess as one like criticism of the album, I do think some of the features are weaker than her performances. So specifically Camp Blood on Psalm 23, like he was serviceable, but I don't think he was nearly as impressive or captivating as her own performance. But I mean, of course, Ada Rook and Debbie kill it all over this album. Apparently, Ada Rook contributed to the guitar on the first track, I believe. Very fucking cool. Very fucking cool. And God, such an exciting EP. So moving on to our favorite and least favorite tracks. Would you like to go first? Oh, actually, I'm gonna I'm gonna ignite a new rule for EPs.
Yeah, I was gonna say
you only get to pick one favorite track.
Okay, awesome.
Only one least favorite track, because it would be absurd to pick 3 favorite tracks out of 4 tracks.
So for my favorite track, I'm just going to pick Stigmata, because I think for the themes that I get out of this album, purely the opening of this is so wonderful to just behold, because it is so unflinching. And I think when you open an EP, something that like I often consider as something maybe more small scale or with less grand intentions, when you open an EP with a song like this, you embolden the rest of your project with this sense of grandeur and power that I think has just reverberation throughout the rest of it. For my least favorite track, I was kind of confused to have this album end on an interlude, or this project end on an interlude. So I think that would probably be like my only problem with this EP, is just the kind of trailing ending, really. But really, like, not a lot bad to say about this. And should I move on to my recommendation? In terms of whether or not I would recommend this, I would wholeheartedly recommend this EP. For queer and non-queer listeners alike, I think you can get so much out of this as a base visceral experience. It is incredible. But like I said, it has those wonderful themes that trans art can produce. But I'll just let Josh get on with his favourite track and least favourite track now.
Awesome, yeah. I mean, great pick for favourite track. I do think Stigmata is a fantastic kind of opening moment for this album, and like a great lead single. It's very shocking that she put out such a strong EP like right after dropping an album.
I know, it's sick.
Like, Jesus, like give us a break. Like we can only say well, yeah, my personal favorite track is Demons. Partially because I am a simp for Ada Rook and Devi. And but yeah, I love how the beat in this song just comes crashing in. And I think it's this track where Backxwash's vocals sound the best to me, and her kind of verses are at their most coherent and vivid, you know. And she spits, "There's a peacefulness as I sleep on this. When I wake up with my makeup and my cheeks all mess, the nightmare seems tame compared to the peace I get. I think it's hellish that I need to go on." And again, that Reaper line I mentioned earlier, as well as the being finger blasted by skeletons in your tomb. I just think this, like lyrically, in terms of a horrorcore rap song, I feel like this was the most satisfying for that, going for that aesthetic and that kind of ghoulish vibe. Like it's very visceral and violent, but also classically Halloweeny. Like I like the skeletons and reapers. Like it's very 80s, you know, like Nightmare Before Christmas, which I really fuck with. And yeah, again, I think you know, kind of again, there's maybe a discussion of suicide on the track as well. I do just think it's haunting, but also exhilarating. It's so energetic, and Devi on the chorus, man, I think it's gorgeous, man. It's woozy, it's dreamlike. I really would love to see Devi on more hooks for other people. I think she is perfect, and I want her on all of my albums, quite frankly. And yeah, I adore this. And again, I just wish there was I wish she posted lyrics on her Bandcamp so I could read along because you know, it was wonderful.
Should we just do like a tweet campaign?
It would. I feel like it would probably work. But yeah, I'm sure she had her reasons. So my least favorite track, like Matty, is Interlude of Doom, which I don't believe is even a Backxwash track. I think it's a Joni Void track. So we have no blood on our hands. We're not even saying any of the actual Backxwash songs are least favorite. And yeah, it was a fine song. It kind of gave me a vibe. There existed an addiction to blood vibe. The last Clicking album.
Yeah.
In fact, this whole album gives me a vibe from that album in terms of like industrial horrorcore raps. But yeah, it was weird to end it in an interlude, and it kind of felt like maybe the interlude was gonna like be a prelude to like a new album. But again, she just dropped an album, so I highly doubt there'll be a new album coming out soon, or at least we're not in like the place in the hype cycle for a new album. So it was an odd way to end the album. But hey, it leaves you wanting more. At least you can say that. And overall, yeah, I'd give this a strong recommend, like Matty. It's grisly, it's haunting, but it's also fun, it's exhilarating, and I think it's super inviting. It wants you to headbang to it and sing along, and that really fun like metal vibe. It's wonderful. I've been on a roll with kind of reviewing what I would call like Matty core album equivalent.
Yeah, I've been loving this.
It's good to see you enjoying yourself if I throw you back into, you know.
I've really been spoiled. Yeah, I really have.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be punished soon. Don't worry. But it was nice having a good few weeks, right? Yeah. So that covers Backxwash's Stigmata. Go listen to it. Support Backxwash.
Please support Backxwash.
We should all go see her live when the pandemic ends.
I want to see it. I want to see it go fucking mental.
Minority Arts Podcast meet up at the Backxwash
concert.
Anyway, so on to our Feedbox with More section, which again is kind of a brief, frivolous covering of things we listened to that came out this month that we're not reviewing. I'll go first. I'll be very brief. Not a big month for music for me. I didn't really listen to a great deal. I wrote much, but I guess 3 projects I wanted to bring up. First, a single, Video Game by Sufjan Stevens. Yikes! I don't know what's going to happen with this new Sufjan album. And the actual like singles on the album have not been good in my opinion. And he released a really cool B-side, which is great. My Ramnish. Let me quickly look up what that track is. My Rajneesh, which is fantastic. But again, that is a B-side. It was very like elegant, orchestral, Age of Ours-esque track. Whereas Video Game, which is kind of one of the lead singles, is kind of a dainty, low-key synth pop track, 80s throwback, and it wasn't very inspiring or interesting. And I do think that chorus, I don't want to play a video game is one of the worst things Sufjan's ever written or released. So I don't know what's going on with this new Sufjan album. I'm very worried about it. Next up, we have Down in the Weeds Where the World Once Was by Bright Eyes. Another disappointment for me. I wasn't really expecting much from it because they haven't put out an album in 10 years, and comeback albums are tricky. But I guess it's odd. I guess I want Connor Oberst, the lead singer, to focus more on kind of his solo stuff, because I really feel like, to me at least, Bright Eyes is such like an angry early 20s type project. Like when he made the pinnacle Bright Eyes album, he was in a really dark place, and I'm happy he's not there anymore. But that was what Bright Eyes was. It was this 20-something-year-old kid strung out on drugs, heartbroken all the time, screaming into like lo-fi equipment. And that's just what the band was. That's what resonated with so many people, and so many people like needed to hear that. I feel like he's grown out of what the band is, and it's weird hearing a Bright Eyes album from him at like in like 40 singing about his kids. I'm happy for him. But I don't know. I just didn't feel like a Bright Eyes album. It just doesn't have anything that made me fall in love with Bright Eyes. It's a bit too clean, a bit too safe, a bit too formulaic, and yeah. But I've been enjoying his solo output, so hopefully he goes back to doing some solo stuff. Finally, Microphones in 2020 by The Microphones. Another kind of comeback album, except this time it really is just Phil Elverum, so kind of the taking on the Microphones name is more performative than anything. I really enjoyed this album. I'm not as infatuated with it as the internet seems to be. I do think the 3 chords that it plays for 40 minutes aren't interesting enough to really justify the length time. Although conceptually, I think it does justify itself. I think this kind of monotony, repetition, this obsession with detail, describing every single minutia of his kind of rise to artistic fame, if you will, and the formation of the Microphones, as well as how his life has been since then, is a very beautiful and visceral kind of raw exploration of like memory. And there are some great lyrics in the album about looking at his past life and feeling so disconnected from it, like it isn't his, and this real sort of lonely, confused alienation you can feel, or about trying to form a coherent narrative from your life. So conceptually, I was thoroughly impressed by the album, and there are some really wonderful moments on it, and it's a really good, tense listen. But overall, I don't think it entirely pulled off the 43-minute long song thing as well as it could have. So yeah, those are my 2020 boxes. How about you?
So I have just got some singles from the month of August. I haven't heard any albums from this, specifically from this month yet. But I actually, similar to you, had a bit of a run of disappointment. I think I'll start off with the biggest one, and that's the new Rico Nasty single. I honestly have very little to say, and like the fact that I have not very little to praise is a huge sad, because and the last time we saw Dylan Brady and Rico Nasty cross paths, we got the Ringtone remix, and that's one of my favorite Rico Nasty moments like ever. And this is like, God, it really felt like a, and this problem will come up again for one of the other singles I had a problem with. It really felt like Let's Go Viral on TikTok. It was kind of weird. Like, the song is so formulaic, so like, let's sound like we're doing the 100 Gex thing, with Rico Nasty kind of doing her usual stuff. It was so, I find it very hard to describe because it is just like low budget 100 gex to me with a Rico Nasty feature. That's really the best way I can describe it, which sounds really harsh, but I was just so let down. Like it's just a single, but like yeah.
I haven't heard it, but it's Dylan Brady and Rico Nasty sounds awesome, and I can't imagine it being bad. So this is very sad to listen to.
The other two singles I want to bring up are the Gentleman and Milady singles by Dorian Electra. I still haven't heard a full Dorian Electra project, but specifically with Gentleman, like it is definitely just like a meme song, but I've been following them on social media, and it really does just also seem like they're just trying to do a funny viral TikTok thing, and it's quite strange to me because the song Gentleman is just this really terrible trumpety beat on loop for about a minute with this incredibly simplistic hook going round and round, and it's like, okay, really? Okay. And then Milady just feels like I feel like with this Dorian Electra, like with Career Boy, like me and Josh love Career Boy. I think they have made really interesting comments in the past with really like fun songs. But Gentleman and Milady as a pair of singles really feel like they add nothing to like a really funny or even philosophical debate around the way women are treated by like very pleading men. Like when I saw that they were gonna do this thing, I was like, yes, Dorian Electra is the perfect person to tackle this. I really think it's just kind of exactly what you would expect. The Milady song is just from the perspective of like a I guess neckbeard just ranting about all the ways that their lady is special and how also they're virtuous and things like that. And it's like, okay. But anyway, yeah, so those are the singles from the month of August that I was really let down by, and unfortunately I don't have anything positive to bring from the month of August specifically.
It was kind of a slow month.
It was a slow month, yeah.
In 3 years' time, we'll discover an August 2020 album that was really cool. We'll be like, how did we miss this? But, like living through it was kind of a slow month.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so that wraps up this month's 2020 boxes. I'm enjoying this series. I'm happy we started.
I like it, yeah.
So yeah, what are we reviewing next week, man? What film are we watching?
So, next week, something very special is being released. And that is the film I'm Thinking of Ending Things from Charlie Kaufman. He is a reclusive filmmaker in terms of directing, a very prolific writer, but when he makes a film, it is a big deal, essentially. And I could not ignore this as a film event, and I'm personally extremely excited as well. I think all the promotional material and images that have been released look really alluring, and there's a very like warm look to the film that feels like it will definitely lure you in for a real emotional gut punch, as he's so good at doing. So yeah, I'm super excited to talk about that.
Yeah, my prediction for this is I think it will be his like horror. From the trailer, it seemed more horror-like than anything he's done before. But I might be completely wrong. It might just be a chill drama. Who knows? But yeah, I'm super hyped for that. I adore. I think Jesse Plemons is amazing. One of those underrated actors of our generation. Ever since he played that ginger who kills the kid in Breaking Bad, yeah, I've loved that guy. So I'm super hyped. Thank you for picking this.
No, it was. I
was gonna watch it anyways. Yeah, it's great.
It came. I looked at my watch list and I was like, I'll do it for him. No, I'm kidding.
Not like you had it. I mean, have you seen that and Bill and Ted, right?
Literally, there is no choice. It's 2020. Films don't exist anymore.
Oh, we could have seen New Mutants.
At least it has Anya Taylor-Joy in it.
Oh, you keep holding on to that. Anyway, thank you for listening. We're gone. So next week, be sure to watch the new Charlie Kaufman film. I'm Thinking of Anything, which you should be watching anyway. And yeah, we'll catch you then and talk about it. So
thanks for listening. Bye.
I see crosses in my sleep.